So I'm building a DIY headboard for my bedroom. I'm going to build it to go to span across the whole wall. So it's going to be like an oversized, dramatic kind of look. And so what you need to do is get some wood panels from either Home Depot or any place of choice and choose whatever length you have. My wall is 115 inches wide. So I decided to do 7-inch panels along the way. I'll need like 16 7-inch panels of plywood. And I got, a pretty thin version. Another thing you'll need is some polyfoam, which I got from Hobby Lobby. I have a bag of this batting too for the upholstery part. Most importantly, you need your fabric. So I'm using this color that I got from Hobby Lobby. It was about $7 a yard. It was on clearance. So I decided to just take it. I have almost 6.5 yards total, which is more than what I need, but um, hoping this will fit everything. So on top of that, you're going to need a staple gun. I got an electric one. When I looked at videos online, a lot of people recommend using an electric one or the pneumatic staple guns because you're gonna have to staple a lot. And then you use an upholstery adhesive to glue the foam on top of the wood, and then of course your staples. So keep watching, and you'll see how I did it. Psych, not just yet. First, I have to show you my Pinterest inspo. So I had just moved into a new apartment and I was looking to kind of spice up my bedroom a little bit, give a little to it. And I was drawn to all these, channel tufted, oversized, dramatic velvet headboards that you see in these pictures here. And I needed to do something like that. So this is the picture that I landed on and I used for my main inspiration. And to get an idea of what it would look like in my bedroom, I created a mock-up in Canva and I played around with, different pillows, throw blankets, decor, even had a few color palette ideas to get a feel for the final look. So now let's see how it all turned out. Now we're back to business. So remember earlier I did say that I use a total of 16 panels for this project. And I just laid it out on the floor and I wanted to make sure that I had enough fabric. It looks like I have like way too much, but again, keep in mind you're gonna have to wrap the fabric around on the edge to staple it onto the wood. So you want to make sure you don't run out of fabric because it will be tragic. Now, get your foam padding laid on the floor and individually cut out all of the pieces for however many wood panels that you have. I'm using a knife here. Do not use scissors. It's going to waste your time. They're extremely hard to cut through this foam for some reason. So find a sharp knife somewhere, save yourself a lot of time, and then just stack all the pieces together in preparation for the next step of the project, which is the adhesive. Grab your spray and make sure you coat both the wood and the foam padding before you attach it together. That way you can make sure that it's going to last. It won't fall apart because you might have missed some spots or didn't spray enough. And I will say, or I will warn you, that if you don't have a door or a window open, the spray can make the room a little stuffy and it might give you a little headache as well. So make sure you have some ventilation in there so that you don't have to keep taking breaks or whatever. Now, again, just make sure you repeat this process for all of your panels. And then I like to just stack them onto each other before I go to the next step. And now we're going to go into the batting. So the batting, it gives it like an extra cushion and rounds off the foam padding. If you look closely, you can see that some of the edges aren't perfect. Like it looks a little raggedy or zigzag because it's not cut perfectly. But when you add the batting, it doesn't really matter. And once you put the fabric on top of it, it kind of just smooths everything out so it can look nice and seamless and very, very pretty. So don't skip the step for the batting. I give it about 3 inches on each side for the tolerance. Just again, make sure you give it the extra room because you are folding this over to staple on the back side of the wood. So you're going to keep doing this for all the batting, and then you're going to do the same thing with your fabric. So I cut one piece out for my fabric, basically about the same size as the batting, maybe a little bit larger. And then I repeated for all of them before I started attaching it to all the boards together. Now on to the most time consuming part, which is the stapling. So you want to start by cutting off any excess material. Here, my foam was a little bit too long for some of the wood panels. And then you want to trim some of the batting and cut out these corners here because I'll end up doing the same thing for the fabric. You'll see in the clip later, but you're going to need that for when you fold it over and staple the top parts. And then you want to start with 4 main staples. Just start stapling the corners and then do a staple in the middle and then gradually make your way into stapling all the pieces in between. And take your time. I think it took me about 2 weeks total, stapling all these panels. So be patient because if you don't do it right, you'll have to redo some of them. And it's important that you place all of your staples as close as possible to each other. Otherwise, it'll make the fabric bunch up together and it'll give it like a ribbing effect, something you don't want. You want it to look smooth and seamless. See here, this panel, it kind of had a little bit of that going on. So just take your time and do the same thing for all the panels here and it'll look nice. So to do the top and bottom portions, you see I trimmed the excess fabric there and then I folded over as taut as possible. And make sure you use the same method of folding the fabric over for all of your boards. That way it's a seamless and clean look once you have the thing put together. So just repeat this for all your pieces and then we can move on to the next step. Now, when it came to putting all of this together, I opted for the cheaper route. So I just found some wood strips here and basically nailed all of the pieces together. There is a more formal option where I think on Amazon you can get like a metal mount, which is more secure. You'll mount a piece on the wall and then it kind of hangs on top of that. I just wanted something simple and easy. I had just spent maybe a couple weeks work on this project and I was ready to be done. So you see here, I'm nailing each of the pieces individually. And then I put it up just to make sure that it's even because sometimes you might nail it down and it's a little bit higher than the previous piece. So again, just like everything else, take your time and make sure it looks right. And then to connect the two halves together, I have these two wooden strips basically connecting everything. And I just add some nails in between all of those. You don't want to use nails that are too long, otherwise, it can poke through to the other side of the headboard. And what you can do is use some winter friendly command strips or, something to kind of connect it to the wall. I simply just placed it on top of the baseboard and then pushed my bed back, and that was my security there. I wouldn't really recommend it, but it worked for me. So you'll see the final product pretty soon.